think I'm chosen to be the king of rock. Think the people have spoken. I can hear the tick-tock of the clock, I'm in motion. So now I'm gonna pop, causing all this commotion. Yeah.
Hey everybody, my name is Eric Hopkins, and that is Mr. Get Some himself, Brandon. And tonight we're going to be reviewing NXT for, what is today's date? June 22nd, 2021. But before we get into that, we're going to discuss our little thoughts here on Monday Night Raw. We're not reviewing those shows in full, Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, until they tend to improve a little bit. So just to get into that show a little bit, do you have any thoughts on it before I run into anything, Brandon?
Nope, didn't watch it.
Didn't watch it. All right, well, let me tell you what happened on that show here. New Day came out at the beginning of the show. They confronted Bobby Lashley. Kofi Kingston ran back the video footage of when he pinned Bobby Lashley a few weeks ago. But the babyfaces, Kofi and Xavier Woods, edited the video so they didn't show Drew McIntyre hitting Bobby Lashley with the cane before he got covered by Kofi. I thought that was an odd move for baby faces to do. That sounds like a heel tactic, if you ask me. So, but yeah, it's just, it was a way for them to set up a Hell in a Cell match with Xavier Woods against Bobby Lashley to end the night here. Basically because USA Network got upset that Fox got a Hell in a Cell match on SmackDown for free. So I guess WWE kind of came to the network here and did a Hell in a Cell on Monday night. There's really no need for a Hell in a Cell match for Xavier and Bobby. So I don't know if I agree with that personally, but that's just me. We also had...
that's what the network wants, man.
Yeah, I guess. I just wish the networks wouldn't dictate the shows sometimes. Every company has to deal with networks, but yeah.
They're the ones who sign the biggest checks.
Yeah, absolutely. So we also had Ricochet defeated AJ Styles to earn a Money in the Bank spot. Viking Raiders attacked Almost, and Almost had some pretty bad selling here, I thought. Distraction led to AJ losing. I don't know how this helps Ricochet when you obviously... I mean, yes, he's getting in the Money in the Bank match. But I feel like a lot of the guys they had advanced to the Money in the Bank on this show was just because it fits their style. And they'll be able to do spots in the ladder match. But none of them are going to win. Which I hope they do. I mean, I'd love to see Ricochet possibly win it. But I just don't think they're going to pull that trigger. But I'll tell you about... Actually, I'll tell you right now
We'll be there for the spots.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Riddle is another one who qualified for the Money in the Bank. He defeated Drew McIntyre clean. But here's the thing, though. Even though Riddle is now in the Money in the Bank, Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, and AJ Styles, who all lost Money in the Bank qualifiers, are going to compete in a triple threat match, I believe, next week. And it's a last chance, triple threat to get into the match. I think Drew McIntyre is still going to win and get in the ladder match and win the briefcase. Because I thought about this interesting scenario here. Drew McIntyre wins the briefcase. He can't cash in on Bobby Lashley now.
No.
So there's a dynamic there you can play with that he has the briefcase, but he can't do anything with it. Which would be interesting because I don't think they've ever really done that. Unless he gets drafted to SmackDown, but for a few months at least, he can't do anything with that briefcase. So I think that would be an interesting wrinkle if they go that route. But again, so those other guys really doesn't do much for him, unfortunately. Eva introduced Doudrop, Piper Niven. But here's the thing, though. This tag team has only been in existence for 1 week, and apparently they're already teasing a breakup because Piper Niven acts surprised that she called her Doudrop. She was about ready to introduce herself as Piper Niven, I believe. So she got a little bit mad, and then during their tag match against Naomi and Asuka for the Money in the Bank qualifier, Doudrop left Eva Marie hanging high and dry on a tag, and which caused Eva Marie to lose the match and Naomi and Asuka to advance to the Money in the Bank. So within a week, they debuted, and now they're teasing a breakup. I mean, the only thing I can figure is maybe they figured out that Doudrop is a bad name and this is terrible, and they want to back out of it. But I don't know. We'll see what they do there. Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville say the rules are not meant to be exploited, talking to Rhea Ripley here after she got disqualified. I don't know if Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville has ever watched wrestling. But
yeah, I was about to say.
Anyway, they say Rhea will then defend her title against Charlotte at Money in the Bank because she cheated. But yet, I don't understand this because Charlotte is someone who's, never held accountable for her cheating. So
her father made a career off of cheating.
Well, agreed. But, if you're going to make one person pay for it, you think you'd make everybody who cheats to pay for it. But how many times do people get away with it all the time? I don't understand that. We
exactly.
Yeah, we had a weird segment with Natty and Tamina and Mandy and Dana doing a photo shoot and training segment backstage. It was kind of the reverse of last week. So this is your tag team championship feud for the women's division. I can't understand it. Another Money in the Bank qualifier. John Morrison defeated Randy Orton. After distraction interference, Miz sprayed Orton with the dripstick. Orton or Matt Riddle then chased the Miz on his wheelchair around the ring on his scooter. So that would have been interesting to see.
I mean, sure.
I mean, but again, Morrison's in the ladder match because he can do the flippy stuff. That's pretty much it. And I'm sure Orton don't want to do that anyway, so I can't blame him there. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, babyface tonight. They're teaming up against Nia and Shayna Baszler. Nikki Cross, who is now Molly Holly, Mighty Molly. She is now a superhero, which I'm not going to crucify WWE and their creative too much for this, because apparently, according to Nikki Cross's husband on Twitter, this was all Nikki Cross's idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not a good one, but I mean,
Yeah.
everybody loved the Hurricane and Mighty Molly back in the day.
That's what I was about to say. Here's the thing: like we can bash on this all we want, but just like I was talking to Josh at work today, and he's not a WWE fan. He isn't, but he's a huge AEW fan.
Oh, cool.
And I was talking about this, and he said, "Listen, let her have fun. If that's what she wants to do, let her have fun." He goes, "Think about it this way: the best friends are a joke, but they're fun.
Yeah.
If you can't criticize them for being a team, you can't criticize her for being a superhero."
Right.
And I said, I get it. I understand. But it's just like, again, where do you draw the line?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
And I get it. Entertainment is entertainment. And like, in some aspects, I should just go, hey, they're getting paid to do this.
Yeah. I mean, if she's having fun doing it, I mean, more power to her. And if this is her idea, even better. They obviously took her up on it. I don't know how long she's been pitching it or anything like that. But again, like we said, the Hurricane and Mighty Molly were super over. And from what I've read, I think...
hugely over.
Yeah, and I think Molly Holly was actually an influence on Nikki Cross. So if that's the case, it makes sense to kind of honor her a little bit, I mean, I'm not saying it's my cup of tea personally, but like you said, Josh mentioned that, if you're into the best friends, every company has something. So kind of a little slack, I suppose. I don't understand why Shayna Baszler once again has to get rolled up and pinned, but that's kind of what they've been doing for months.
I can't explain it.
Yeah, and we had more hypnotism from Alexa Bliss and a babyface role at this point, which was interesting. But
so, this thing with Alexa Bliss, as far as like she's a babyface or she's a heel, it's the same in a sense with when Bray Wyatt and the Fiend existed. You had Bray Wyatt, who was this lovable character who had the Firefly Funhouse. Right. Everybody loved it. But then there's the Fiend, who is objectively the opposite. He's the
Mr. Rogers, or the Fiend was. It wasn't, but Bray was. Yeah.
So it's like, in the same sense, you have Alexa Bliss, but then we don't know what this other character is. I'm assuming it's Lily.
Maybe she's the bad influence. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I could maybe buy that.
You get what I'm saying? So there's that face and heel dynamic to where you can play her off as this, but then there's also that switch that gets flipped, or the alternate personality.
Right.
That's the way I would assume it is. I mean, I don't fucking know, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not so sure either. We also had Sheamus, Cedric Alexander, Jinder Mahal, and Jeff Hardy all backstage complaining that they weren't in Money in the Bank qualifier matches. Jinder Mahal says
what have you all done?
Exactly my point. Yeah. I mean, Sheamus, you could argue he's done something, but he's got a broken nose right now, so he really can't do much of anything. Yeah. But Jinder Mahal said he'd gladly be a replacement if any of the guys, needed a replacement, I guess. So I worry for guys like Ricochet right now. Maybe he gets replaced by Jinder Mahal. Let's hope that don't happen. But we'll see. Why would you put that line in there if you're not going to do that? You know what I mean?
So here's the thing too. I can't remember where I saw this, but I know I saw this, and I might just be crazy, but I do believe I saw this. Something about WWE is purposely milling about, for lack of a better term, until they go back to the live shows. And then I'm like, but part of me is like, okay, but why though? Like, why would you consistently give us small substance or no substance, but wait for live crowds to then give substance? Like that doesn't.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't compute.
Like, it doesn't make sense.
That's a lazy excuse to me.
Yeah.
You know,
And,
no, and not only that, we're less than a month from live crowds, especially at Money in the Bank. They need to start ratcheting that up. You need to start, moving toward it. If you can't just expect to hit it
now.
Yeah, I mean, build up feuds and stuff for when live crowds are back, not just wait to the night of. I mean, you can pull off a big surprise return or something, I guess, but that's not going to be enough. So I don't know.
I mean, that's my thing. Like, I feel like
they've been going through the motions this last year. Really, just to kind of like, we got no crowd, so it's not a big deal. We can do what we want.
But I feel like at the same time, this was your opportunity with no crowds to kind of wipe the slate clean here.
Yeah.
And do something different, do something more innovative, and you really push some of the guys that, during live crowds or big houses who don't have that name. This was your opportunity. You had a whole year to do that. And then when you get live crowds back, you have so much more to offer people.
Stuff that people are excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they ain't doing it. We also had Jackson Riker backstage whipping himself with a strap. I guess because he's preparing himself for a strap match against Elias next week. That's a match I'm dying to see. Hit the heavy sarcasm there.
Kind of gimmick they did. In NXT with that Xia Li. Not Xia Li. Was it Xia Li? No, I don't know. I can't remember their name. I can't. It's the one where the ancient chick.
Oh, Mei Ying? That's well, Xia Li is that's the one.
Okay,
I think.
So Xia Li and the one guy was like torturing themselves for weeks because of their failures or whatever, and
they were lashing.
With all kind of things. They got the crap kicked out of them too. But I don't know why you would whip yourself with a strap to prepare. Like,
I guess just to kind of get used to the feeling.
No,
but
you don't get used to.
You don't get used to. Not. I mean, someone else is gonna hit you harder, most likely.
Yeah, like because you ain't gonna hit yourself that hard.
No, that's when Mansoor walked up and asked Riker for some career advice. Some bad advice for what?
Wrong one.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what he said. Ali also walked up and gave him some advice as well, basically saying, if no one gives you a ladder, you need to create your own ladders to success. This was kind of a nothing segment to me. Then we had the Hell in a Cell.
Hey, but that's actually really good advice, though.
Yeah, I guess. Which I don't know why Ali's helping Mansoor. A little shady, if you ask me. Maybe they're building up somewhere. I don't know. But after that, we had the Hell in a Cell main event. Bobby Lashley defeated Xavier Woods. This was pretty much Bobby Lashley, I think, kind of dominating
the shit out of it.
Unlike the night before when Drew McIntyre, pretty much dominated Bobby Lashley for a lot of that match. But here's my thing about that too. Not only, I understand the networks wants a Hell in a Cell and stuff, 2 nights, or even though Universal owns Peacock and they got the pay-per-view, but Universal also owns USA or NBC. So yeah, like Bobby Lashley's in 2 Hell in a Cell matches back-to-back 2 nights in a row. Bobby was not selling the brutal match the night before. He just he wanted to be in Hell in a Cell the second night. To me, it just didn't make much narrative sense. But I get, appeasing the network. But after the match, Bobby Lashley and MVP beat up Xavier Woods with Kofi Kingston helpless on the outside of the cage. Could not get in to help his friend. With one time a cage, guys don't get in is during this segment. So I don't know. It's building up the Kofi versus Bobby Lashley match.
That's what this whole thing was for. It was like to show Kofi, this is what you're going to get when you're stepping in with me.
Right.
And since, we have to wait, I'm just going to do it to your friend. It's the same thing that Roman did with Jay. Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, that whole, if you won't listen, then I'll show you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And he did it in front of Jay, too, when they had their cage match. Was it a cage match? Where he beat the crap out of him.
Well, that was a Hell in a Cell.
Yeah,
it was last October. Yeah,
and he beat the crap out of him. And then Jay comes out to save him, And Roman makes the whole thing, which I thought was
Make
great.
you acknowledge me, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
It's
that's
kind of where
what
a lot of this
is.
started, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think Kofi could be a decent challenger, but obviously he's not beating Bobby Lashley.
Oh, fuck.
And that's fine. I mean, and I think that's kind of going to be what happens with his buddy Big E on SmackDown if Big E challenges for Roman, which I've heard that maybe where they go next before SummerSlam. So if that's the case, I mean, it'd be good to see Big E in a world title match, but
he's not gonna win.
no. And to be honest, I don't sure if now is the right time for either one guy. I mean, Kofi has at least been there before.
Yes.
But Bobby, if they can get the Brock Lesnar thing worked out, it's going to be Bobby versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE title at SummerSlam most likely. But we'll see what they do. If it ain't Brock, I don't know who it's going to be then.
I think Drew will somehow. So I think Drew will somehow get put into Money in the Bank, or if not, like I said, I always feel like Money in the Bank could be so much more if that briefcase after you win it, there's a potential chance of you losing it, and they've done lightweight stuff like that when Corbin had to put his title on the line or the briefcase on the line and he lost it obviously to Cena after the fiasco that he did or whatever, and then with the Miz, you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Because it puts so much more behind it. This is an opportunity for any title, but it can be taken away from you even after you go through such a fucking match as Money in the Bank.
Now there's always the cash in and then you fail. It don't happen very often, but when it does, there is that element. But I agree.
Having this extra layer of like someone could challenge you for that for that briefcase,
right?
It you know what I mean? So then it's like this whole thing of like, do you really want to win this? And this gives guys opportunities who would normally get that opportunity. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is a way for you to kind of sneak certain stars into certain situations where they fight for that briefcase. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I got no problem with like, I will give Raw credit in this week in this sense. Everybody who won, like Riddle, Morrison, Ricochet, all being in this men's match, are guys who I would like to see get more of a push. But here's the thing, though. I feel like Bobby is going to win that last chance, or not Bobby. Drew is going to win that last chance triple threat. And because of the fact that he can't challenge Bobby, him having the briefcase, they're going to want to tell that story, which could be a good story. That's something I've not really done before. But I feel like the guys who won tonight or on Monday last night are not going to do anything but be in the match to do the ladder spots, and that's what they're there for. Yeah. Which, don't get me wrong, will be good, but it's not going to do any of those guys any favors. They're just going to lose. And if that's the case, I don't care to see it. I would much rather strap the rocket on a new guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If there was a consequence for winning that, to where maybe one of those guys who was in that grueling ass match feels like, that was my shot.
Yeah, or especially in Riddle's case, I beat Drew to get in this match, and you're giving Drew another chance. Or you could say that for any guy who when the loser was to win it. But so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I give them credit for trying something new, and I'll give them also credit for this. That when was the last time we actually had qualifier matches to get into anything here lately?
Yeah.
So at least they're doing something to where you got to earn it. So I'll give them credit where it's due. I just hope they continue this sort of thing, and hopefully things will. It's going to take a long time to improve stuff, but it's a step in the right direction. So I'll give it that. But overall, there was a lot of things on the show kind of like normal. Great matches like usual. Bad finishes and booking is always kind of odd, but hopefully they get that corrected. All right, so let's move on to the main topic of this show. That is NXT for June 22nd, 2021. The show begins with an opening monologue from Adam Cole. He talks about soon facing Kyle O'Reilly at the Great American Bash. Cole mentioned an assault and attack by Samoa Joe last week, which, if you remember, he provoked Joe. So
I'm sorry. I was talking to Nate about this at work.
Okay.
And I was like, I laughed one of those like good, healthy laughs at that. Because it was so funny when Joe chokes him out, Cole goes out.
Yeah,
but
seconds.
It's the line that Joe delivers afterwards of when he wakes up. And I was like,
Mr. Regal expects your decision. Yeah.
And I'm like,
which clearly he didn't give him one because he comes out and talking about how, he wasn't going to actually pick anybody. Cole warned Joe that Cole is now the new king of NXT. When he defeats Kyle O'Reilly, Cole says he will be called the greatest ever in NXT history. Nobody can change his mind. Cole is interrupted by Carmelo Hayes. Like Cole, Hayes also has a microphone. Hayes said Cole might not know who he is, but Hayes knows who Cole is in NXT. Hayes said he could change Cole's mind. Cole asked how, and Hayes spoofed the John Cena debut against Kurt Angle, where he famously roared ruthless aggression in his face and then slapped the taste out of his mouth. Hayes then, he said he had the same energy, and he slapped Adam Cole like Cena slapped Angle decades ago. Nice little callback, I suppose.
Smack taste out of his mouth.
Right. And I saw Shawn Michaels on Twitter say, hey, the last guy who did this worked out pretty well for him. That's cool. Shawn's going to, promote his brand, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we had this was a great match. This set up the match that started off the show.
So I didn't see any of this.
This was actually really good. And Carmelo Hayes actually did a good showing here. Of course, Adam Cole is putting him over like crazy. He's making him look good, selling like a champ. So I think it did do Carmelo Hayes a lot of good here. And of course, what was he? He challenged Kushida last week, I think it was.
Yes.
So not a bad 2 matches to start out your NXT career here. So keep an eye on this kid. But Adam Cole pinned Hayes after a Panama Sunrise after a fun match. And this Panama Sunrise, the way he took it, Hayes looked like legitimately spiked himself into the mat. It looked incredible. Good selling on his part. I think he played it just fine. He looked okay, but it was a great looking spot for sure, and just good spots all the way around. Kudos to both guys. But Adam Cole obviously makes sense for him to win. There's his opponent at Great American Bash made sense for him to win tonight, but I do have a little nitpick, as I always do when they do something like this. But we'll get to that in the main event. And then after this, we had a string of talking segments and character development. Frankie Monet was backstage chatting with Jesse Kamea and Aaliyah of the Robert Stone brand. Presley was also there, the little dog. Robert Stone found them. He was looking everywhere for him, and Monet went to leave, and she high-fived Kamea and Aaliyah. Stone went to high-five Monet, but the dog snapped at him, and so Stone shrieked in terror. I don't know if the dog really snapped too much. It was just, Stone was just afraid of the dog more than anything. The dog just kind of looked like he didn't care, but the
dog was indifferent of your
right,
situation.
Yeah, pretty much. It is Robert Stone, and Robert Stone was wearing this weird white suit jacket, and underneath it looked like he had suspenders that were going crisscross across his bare chest. It was really weird looking. But anyhow, it was an interesting fashion statement, I thought. Zoe Stark was in an interview with McKenzie Mitchell, talked about teaming with Io Shirai. Stark was surprised Shirai chose her. Shirai stepped into the frame to say she picked Stark as her partner, but she does not like her, she said. They have a match later tonight against the Robert Stone brand. So basically just kind of putting up the idea that Stark and Shirai respect each other, but they don't like each other. So, Vignette then profiled the new $1 Million champion, LA Knight. He cut a promo on Cameron Grimes, basically talking about how he didn't need Ted DiBiase and all that stuff. He came off like $1 million here, so that he looked great. The way come out to the ring, Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory, to be more precise, for a promo, and Gargano said it was exciting times, and new management was in town, so we need a new NXT champion, according to Gargano. Gargano said it should be him. He claimed it was paradise when he was NXT champion. Gargano ranted about being better than Karrion Kross. Then out comes Pete Dunne to confront Gargano. He's flanked by Oney Lorcan, and they both got in the ring to face off with The Way. Dunne said he was clearly the number one contender ahead of Gargano. Dunne also insulted Theory, telling him to shut up. Theory was ready to snap, but Gargano held him back. Gargano said there is a new way to do things around here. The Way no longer participates in shenanigans or hijinks, is what he said, quote unquote. And they are law-abiding citizens, quote unquote. Gargano said to Dunne, there are rules for a reason, Peter. Gargano gently put down the microphone.
Did you say Peter?
That's exactly how he said it. Gargano gently put down the microphone, and The Way left peacefully, or so Gargano thought. He was leaving when Theory turned around. Theory pointed at Pete Dunne and telling him that Theory was watching him. Dunne in turn snapped Theory's fingers, so that piece didn't last very long. So yeah, this basically just set up a tag match we're about to get here in a little bit here. Cameron Grimes arrived at the building. I'm not sure exactly why, because we didn't see him much more after this, I don't think. He was handing out money when someone made a smart aleck comment about Ted DiBiase. Grimes smacked him across the face, cackled, and tossed the geek $10 for taking the punch. So good Cameron Grimes, as always. But again, a little disappointed we didn't see more from him. But they did promote by the end of the show we would see Cameron Grimes in action next week. So then we had General Manager William Regal argued with Adam Cole about Samoa Joe. This is obvious. It all seems like it's building to Samoa Joe versus Adam Cole at some point. But he basically told him to leave so he don't get involved with Joe, and obviously probably Kyle O'Reilly too. But the insinuation here was that he didn't get in Joe's face again like last week. So that's definitely coming, I think. Yeah, let's hope they deliver that. I would love to see it.
Yeah, I would love to see it.
But we'll have to. It all depends on Samoa Joe for sure. The Way went to see Regal. They were angry at Dunne for snapping Theory's fingers. They wanted Regal to send in Joe. Gargano and Theory wanted Joe to choke out Dunne and then throw him into a wall. Regal instead booked them in a match against Dunne and Lorcan. Gargano then complained he did not even have his gear on. It's intricate and it takes about an hour. Is what he said to put his gear on. He said Regal was having none of it, and he ordered them to get ready. They made it seem like the match was next, but it was not, in fact, next. Because, I mean, it takes time for Gargano to change. I mean, it's
it does. I mean, it's a very interesting
yeah, I mean, it takes time. Johnny Gargano is very good at his comedic element. I know some people criticize it because they wanted to be serious Johnny wrestling, but there was some Johnny wrestling in this match coming up, so we did get a little bit of that.
It was.
Yeah, absolutely. Io Shirai and Zoe Stark defeated Jessie Kamea and Aaliyah. Shirai pinned Kamea to win the match. The bout was more of a backdrop for an angle that followed the match, I thought. That's when LeRae and Hartwell came out to the ring, got on the apron to confront Shirai and Stark. Then NXT champion Raquel Gonzalez and her tag team partner Dakota Kai came to ringside. Shirai and Stark were surrounded and under siege, and Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart also came out on the ramp to join the party. I thought Ember Moon was rather cringe in this.
Yeah, it was that. The last thing was weird.
Yeah, and it's not her fault. It's probably what she was supposed to say, but it just she went a little over the top for me. Other than that, I thought they were fine.
She had her own little spice to it.
Pulled it back just a smidge. And Shotzi to a little bit as well, but she wasn't as
when
cringy.
She yelled at the end, I was like, all right, let's calm down.
Yeah, calm it down now. Huge brawl started with all four teams fighting in a melee. Samoa Joe led a bunch of officials to break up the brawl. Joe seen to it that order was restored in the building. So at least they're still playing up the fact that Joe is laying down the law. So that's good. A tag title match was announced for the Great American Bash in 2 weeks' time. MSK will defend their NXT Tag Team Championships against Tommaso Ciampa and Toothless Timmy Thatcher at the Bash. So that will be a good match.
Somebody's going to get hurt.
That's going to be a barn burner for sure. Business is about to pick up. Absolutely. Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory then defeated Pete Dunne and only Lorcan. The match ended when Gargano pinned Lorcan to win the tag bout. Definitely the best match of the night so far at this point. After the match, Karrion Kross attacked Johnny Gargano because of his NXT Championship remarks earlier in the night. So Gargano, in a way, had this coming.
So here's the thing, though. Did you pay attention how the subtle way the crowd, or they made the crowd, because when Gargano first came out and Austin Theory came out, they got booed.
Yeah.
When Dunne and Lorcan came out, they got booed. Because obviously they're both, but towards,
I'd say about three quarters of the way in. Yeah, somewhere in there.
The crowd turned.
Yeah, Gargano was putting on a show.
Yes, but also Austin Theory got so much sympathy from the beating he was taking.
Yeah.
And his again, selling is key. Austin sold his hand or his fingers.
Yeah.
That entire match.
Which from the segment earlier on got the crowd on his side, I'm sure, because Pete Dunne was a total douche in that. So
as he should be.
And he did a great job at it.
And the crowd shifted way in Johnny in the Way's favor here, to where they were getting cheered. Johnny started getting the Johnny wrestling chants, and all this. And I don't want to say that's what they're doing with Johnny's going to turn him face, but
I was about to
they're
ask,
all in
do
the
you think they're
fucking
turning
ring.
away face? That's my question.
They may be, but I don't know how you're going to do that with Candice and
Well, Indy's kind of got this goodwill with the whole Dexter situation.
Because of Dexter.
Now,
Lumis.
LeRae, you got to convince the crowd of that. Austin, I
Mhm.
mean, again, if, as long as him and Johnny are babyface, I think it would work.
Mhm.
LeRae,
Yeah,
you got to
yeah.
convince some folks. But I think it can be done. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised if this whole faction, especially if they get involved with the debuting faction by the end of this night.
Yes.
I don't think it's going to go happen right away. Clearly, it looks like
No.
we got a road path for them right now. But down the
for
line,
sure, right now.
yeah, down the
And
line, I
I'm
could definitely see
telling
it.
you, I can't. I want to see where this goes.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be good. We'll get to that here in a minute. After this match, Cross was met backstage by Samoa Joe, who let him pass to see Regal in the GM's office. Joe turned around and Pete Dunne was staring at him. So again, we got some tension here with some, which is fine with Joe. But are we going to pay any of this off?
There's so much potential in different matches.
Yeah.
With Joe.
Yeah.
Like him and Kerry in face to face. I'm like, yes.
Yes. This is a whole new roster that Joe has not had an opportunity to wrestle yet because when he was in NXT, some of those guys were not there.
And then when he leaves and he turns around and Dunne is standing there and I go, no, yes, yeah, I want, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see Cross. I want to see Cole. I want to see all these guys get into it with Samoa Joe.
And I'm like, could you imagine Samoa Joe and Dunne? Because Dunne has a very smash mouth style of wrestling, but so does Joe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, both are great technical wrestlers, hands down. Two great technical wrestlers. I'm like, fuck, I want to see this for sure.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I just hope we get it.
Yeah, but we don't. I mean, because you don't know the status of Joe and what his actual contract is like, and what's going on.
Now, granted, I know Vince doesn't watch this show as much, if at all, but he always has this philosophy: don't tease something unless you're going to do it. Now, I don't know if Hunter is going to do the same thing, but I would think he's smart enough to realize, okay, don't bait that hook if you're not going to cast
Yeah.
But we'll see if they do it. I mean, if they do, it's going to be money. So let's hope Joe's ready to roll. That would be great. Announced for next week on NXT is a triple threat #1 contenders tag team match. This was set up with the huge brawl earlier. Stark and Shirai versus Kai and Gonzalez and versus Moon and Blackheart. So the winner's going to get who's the chick? LeRae and
I would
Hartwell
love for
most
it to be
likely.
Stark and Shirai.
Uh-huh.
Because
I just don't know if
Shirai something to do, while not chasing down the title right now. Or I could be wrong. She could also, put herself back in that title picture. And so could Zoe Stark. I mean, you have no fucking idea. But I do think it'll end up being Shotzi and Ember.
Really, you think you're gonna have that
And
rematch?
And then I think you can then run, a program between Shotzi, Ember, and Io and.
Well, you could, and they kind of mentioned Io Shirai when Gonzalez and Kai came out. They were talking to Io personally, so that may very well be the case. I was kind of hoping maybe Gonzalez and Kai get the tag belts, and Gonzalez has 2 belts. You could do it that way, but I don't. I just don't know if Ember and Blackheart again, because they've done it a lot the last few months. But don't get me wrong, they were great matches, so I'd be okay with it, I suppose. But yeah, you run the risk of repetitive at that point. But I like your idea too with what you said there with Shirai and Gonzalez. That could be good as well. So we'll see what they do with it. Frankie Monet defeated some girl I've never heard of, Elektra Lopez.
She was good.
Yeah. I mean,
but she was good.
Yeah. I thought they both did a good job here. Beat her with a glam slam, actually. Which is interesting.
That was good to see.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't catch Beth Phoenix's reaction to it, but I'm sure there was one. There had to have been.
I'm sure she lightweight popped like yes.
Yeah. NXT North American Champion Bronson Reed was being interviewed by McKenzie Mitchell backstage. Reed was interrupted by Hit Row, and they tried to imitate him. Or intimidate.
Top Dollar is...
Yeah, I'm starting to really be a fan of Top Dollar.
Top Dollar. The whole segment...
Which we're about... Yeah, actually, it's the next segment, the one that's in the parking lot. Yeah, let me say it. Everrise is in a skip from earlier in the day, was about to spray paint the SUV of Hit Row. Everrise were caught red-handed, though, when the driver's side window rolled down, and it was Top Dollar, and they had Everrise had masks on, and Top Dollar said, or they said, do you think he knew it was us? And Top Dollar's like, your shirts say your names on. He just looked at him with his deadpan look, like, for real? Really?
This is the funniest shit ever.
I mean,
was like, yo,
I thought this was great, and then they ran off. Trying to run away. So yeah, it was. I thought this was great.
top dollar for me. And don't get me wrong, the other guy, not Swerve,
Gosh, I can't remember his
the
name.
guy who was in the match with Top Dollar. I can't remember his name.
Adonis.
Okay,
I can't remember. His name.
He can go.
Yeah,
but Top Dollar, I don't know what it is about him that I find so entertaining, but his personality.
Yeah, he's got a good personality. Yeah,
and the charisma he has.
Big guy, but he can move too.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
He was just so funny to me in that whole thing. Even his interaction with Bronson Reed, to the point where I was like, "Are y'all gonna fight? Because I want to see y'all fight." Like,
so I mean, we ended up getting the Everrise match here, like you mentioned.
Top
Dollar pinned Matt Martell to win a squash match, basically. Everrise to me is developed. I mean, obviously everybody in NXT are developmental talent, but to me this is they're more of a jobber type team.
Yeah,
which is fine.
They'll get their moment.
They're there for the comedic relief, things like that. But they played their part well here, I thought. Let's see here.
That shit was just so funny when they were about to spray paint that car though, and that window rolled down.
After the match, Isaiah Scott laid out Parker with a kick, hit row post over the fall and Everrise.
Pretty.
Yeah, it was really good. And they had a nice little pose there. I want to say, didn't the little board that B-Fab was holding, did it say "Now you know"?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, that's kind of a thing. I've heard that in other places too. But yeah, it's not bad. McKenzie did an interview where she informed Mercedes Martinez that she was booked next week in a mixed tag match against Xia Li and Boa. Martinez was surprised by this news. She also was surprised by the sneak attack from Xia Li. Making the save was Jake Atlas. Not sure exactly why. I don't know if they have a thing or previous.
Jake Atlas didn't have nothing to do.
Yeah, I guess he's the tag partner for Martinez next week. So that match has been made official.
I haven't seen much of Jake Atlas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't either, really.
So I'm cool with it.
Yeah, we'll see what he does. I mean, at least he's getting in a match here.
Get some time, sure.
Yeah, they keep showing this promo or vignette of a battery charging like a cell phone. And obviously we're getting something here. This has been a few weeks now. Now we're halfway there. So maybe a couple more weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. We'll probably find out.
I was going to ask you about that because this is the first time I've seen it. So,
I do recall seeing it once last week, but didn't think too much of it. Now we saw it a couple times tonight, and now it's halfway charged. It was like
51% now.
Yeah, it was at 30 earlier in the night. It was 51. Mm-hmm. So obviously, probably it'll be around 75 next week, and probably in 2 weeks, I'm guessing we'll get the reveal. But
is that Great American Bash?
I believe it is actually. So you're probably right. Yeah, that is 2 weeks away, is it not? Yeah, so I think that's
like
true.
I thought the show was over where I saw it. Like I was like, oh, what the hell is this?
Mm-hmm.
And then because it had like the little watermark of like TVV or whatever.
Oh, I got you. You're right.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah, I think it was because they came back from commercial or something.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I thought it was a show over, and then like it cut to the backstage segment with Joe and Carrion. Jesus,
yes,
I blanked out like that. But yeah, because I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think much of it last week either when I saw it, but then here we go again. So I'm like, okay, well, this is clearly something. So much like the Diamond Mine stuff, which we're about to get into, they are definitely pushing something. And good call on your part. I didn't realize it was probably going to be at the Great American Bash. So a nice little surprise awaiting on that big show as well. So good on them for that. Then we had the main event, Kyle O'Reilly challenging. Well, actually, he was not challenging for the Cruiserweight title. It was a non-title match against Kushida here, which is a good thing. For Kushida, because the match ended with Kyle O'Reilly pinning Kushida with a cradle to end a great match. This was actually really good here.
It was good.
Both guys were, just working their tail off, in my opinion.
Suplex on
the apron.
Ring apron.
Oh my God, yeah, that was great. But I am going to throw in a nitpick here because I say it about the main roster. You know what I'm going to say. Anytime
beat the champion.
You beat the champion. But obviously Kyle O'Reilly is higher up on the ladder here than Kushida. But it does lessen the value of the Cruiserweight title a little, but by the end of the night, they obviously have plans for that title. But it was all
about respect. It wasn't.
Agreed.
This wasn't for a title. This wasn't for a shot at the title. This was, you're a great wrestler, and I want to go against the best, and he did.
Yeah,
and had a phenomenal match.
And
Because even at the end of it, Kushida bowed to him, and he bowed to Kushida.
And they hugged a little
know?
bit on the ground, on their knees and stuff. But as much as I criticize the championship thing, much like the DQs, the interferences, and all the distractions and stuff they do, this is one of those situations where I believe you can pin champions occasionally. They don't do it much on NXT, so I'm willing to give this one a pass. Like I said, because O'Reilly is up here.
Stellar fucking match,
right? And they both had a great match. And this is one of those situations. Even though Kushida, lost, he looked like $1 million. So it's one of those deals where they booked it.
And this,
I think,
honestly, furthered one story and started a new one.
Right, and we're about to get into that. Let's see here. Where's the reporter? Okay. So basically, they didn't really get into... Oh, I guess I could pull up this other article here. After the match was over, where did...
So after the match was over, they're paying respects to one another. They're having a little combo.
Right.
O'Reilly looks up, and he kind of...
it's Cole.
Kushida to the side, charges Cole.
Yeah.
Because Cole was getting in the ring, and they brawl. They go over to the announce table. They're exchanging shots. He bounces,
chaos.
To where Joe comes out. Security's out. They're trying to break these two up. Joe's telling them to get, Cole out of the building, whatever, yada, yada, yada. All this is going on. You forget that Kushida...
Before we get to that, though, to me, I feel like the Adam Cole stuff, like you just said, we thought he was ordered to leave. Which me and you both were texting in our private chat that we Cole's not going anywhere. We knew that, and of course, in Cole fashion, he shows up and takes the cheap shot. But I think this is good in a way. Not only does it further the Samoa Joe stuff, but it furthers his feud with Regal. He just defied Regal's orders.
Yes, he did.
So good on them for that. But go ahead about the Kushida stuff.
Hold on.
Okay.
I just thought about this too.
Okay.
You have Cole, who you're right, defies Regal's orders, defied Joe
by proxy.
Know? And this fight between him and O'Reilly, which I think is fucking awesome. Like they
had a great beatdown here. Yeah,
it is one of those when it's Cole and O'Reilly too. You're like, yes.
Yeah, and it's going to be a great match. I know we've seen it once, but you know what? I want to see it again. Because that chain spot, I still can't get over it. I want to. If they do something anywhere near that, now this is supposed to be
going through the thing, the stage.
Yeah, that's all that.
Oh.
Now, and again, obviously, this one won't be non-sanctioned. This one's going to be a regular match, I guess. But they're still going to kill it. And kill each other. I mean, after this, though, I wouldn't be surprised if they had a stip.
They should.
I mean, they very well could.
Think this is a feud that, because it was so good and so. You could see the temperature between the two rising over the whole Finn Balor thing and Kyle O'Reilly. So you've seen this change in O'Reilly, and Cole's like, what the fuck did you do? And, because he's still like, I want that title. There's no way I'm going to side with the dude who's holding the title that I want. Right. So when it finally blows up, you can see where it's like this real animosity with these two. And when you bring that sense of realism to wrestling, it makes it much more enjoyable. Yeah. So, like, when you see these two, and like I said, we've seen these two go at it before, New Japan, ROH.
Daddy, can you tell me this first screen?
Yeah, can you give me a minute, baby? Thank you.
Family man.
And it just makes it great, and this story has written itself ever since then. Right. And it's like, those chants of fight forever. This is one of those situations where I'm like, yes, let them do it.
Right. And
it's
fine. But to play off that a little bit, these are two guys who got beat by Karrion Kross in the Fatal 5-Way. Mm-hmm. They're obviously coming up with stuff for those losers in that match to do. Mm-hmm. I know this is a little off topic of the main event, but Gargano looks to be the one to challenge Karrion Kross. Yeah. We discussed about how Gargano was one of the guys in that match who did lose. Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure. I mean, they've not really got into the build with Gargano and Kross yet, but it just seemed like Gargano come out and said, hey, I want the NXT Championship, and Kross is taking offense to it. I don't think Gargano has earned it. But, again, it's NXT. I'm sure it'll be a good match with Gargano and Kross regardless, but I just wanted to mention that.
You still got time to
Absolutely,
that
and it sounds like I'm assuming that'll be at Great American Bash too.
and here's
but
the
we'll
thing:
see.
Karrion Kross is that kind of heel champion that is the opposite of most heels. You know, where it's this chicken shit baby heel thing, heel thing. He's not. He's willing to fight as long as it's a fight.
Yeah.
He just wants to fight. His whole objective is to destroy whatever you put in front of him, no matter who or how many times he has to do it. Think about Finn Balor. Finn Balor shouldn't have got as many chances as he did, but he did.
Right.
Because
And to our absent buddy Damon's credit, Gargano did not come out and say, I never lost.
Lose.
Yeah. So they didn't do that route. So in that case, NXT's already ahead of the main roster for sure. After the main event, we had the debut, which I was starting to think by the time the main event started whether or not we were actually going to see whatever Diamond Mine was, because they said they were going to debut whatever it was. I kind of thought maybe it might even be a Raw Underground type of segment or a tournament or something like.
I thought it was a tournament,
right? Something along that line, or a wrestler, but apparently it is a group of guys, and they attacked Kushida as Cole and O'Reilly were, in their scuffle.
I said, O'Reilly and Cole, so you're not paying attention. And
yeah.
then out of the corner
almost out of nowhere, some guys in black hoodies.
Yeah.
Stormed 3 guys.
To the ring, and he's just decking Kushida.
Yeah, one guy in particular is decking Kushida. Yeah.
And then he pulls the hood off after he does the knee. First of all, he need the crap out of Kushida.
Right.
And then he pulls the hood off, and I was like, wait a second. Is that?
Yeah, it was Roderick Strong.
And I was like, holy hell.
So, I
texted you.
Yeah.
Right after that, I was like, dude.
Now I don't remember how long has Strong been out. This was before Mania, right?
He quit. Remember? Because he said he quit.
Oh, that's right. That was not long after Mania. He said, I'm done. Yeah.
It was right after the O'Reilly and Cole
match. Yeah. Okay. So, and we were like, okay, is he maybe just needed time to refresh his batteries, recover a little bit, I'm guessing here. But now he has aligned himself with a couple guys, and they're calling themselves Diamond Mine. And apparently these guys' names are obviously Roderick Strong, Tyler Rust, which commentary called out, which is interesting to note that commentary on NXT knows who guys are who called up, unlike the main roster who didn't know who Piper Niven Dewdrop was. So kudos to them for that. Tyler Rust, hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, Hideki Suzuki.
No idea.
Was the Asian guy in the ring. And then they were flanked by, it looks like to be their manager. What was his name here?
Teddy Long Jr., because that's who
his name is Malcolm Bivens.
Malcolm Bivens.
Never heard of anybody here besides Roderick Strong personally. But good guy to attach themselves to. I mentioned to you in the private chat, it appears Roderick Strong now has his own undisputed era to grow some young talent on his shoulders.
And I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I don't know who this Bivens character is, but he already sounds like he's pretty decent on the mic.
Yeah.
So
I will say this. The King of Backbreakers is back, and I am fucking excited.
And Kushida and Roderick Strong are going to have a hell of a match. I don't know. Again, I don't know when they're going to do this. I'm hoping some of these feuds, like the Cross and Gargano, they hold off till SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Or at least that takeover. But obviously, I think Great American Bash, since it's on a Tuesday night episode of NXT, basically, I think it's going to have a pretty full card, I think, with the men's tag team match, most likely the women's tag team match, and, of course, Cole and O'Reilly. I think some of these you hold. But, yeah, this could be good. I'm not going to lie. I don't know.
Roderick Strong, if I'm not mistaken, was on an episode or two of 205 Live for the Cruiserweight title.
So they've got some history.
He ever won that title. Which makes sense of why he could go after Kushida.
Yeah, if they play off that, I hope they tell the story, because some people don't watch 205 Live, admittedly.
This was like years ago, though.
Right, and maybe they don't play into it too much. But if they've got chemistry in the ring together, this could be great. And I'm interested to see who maybe between now and then, maybe Kushida gets some buddies, and they do 6-mans or tags, things like that. Obviously, I wouldn't want Roderick and Kushida to touch a whole lot before their sales, but
they're going to have a moment.
They're going to have a moment.
This attack warrants that. You got to get that ass whooping.
Yeah. I mean, so I thoroughly enjoyed this debut. I'm interested to see where they go. Roderick Strong kind of going after his old, Adam Cole taking that spot that he used to have, and now he's the leader.
You had Cole, O'Reilly,
Yeah.
going at it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom.
The guy from Undisputed Era comes out with his own group. So, yeah. Who was the fourth guy? What was his name? Do you remember?
It was Kyle O'Reilly.
Bobby Fish.
Bobby Fish.
Yeah. Where's he at?
And Roderick Strong. He's, who was he going after?
Well, didn't he come back and say, I got to do my own thing to Riley? And then we have it.
He wrestled, was it last week or the week before? I want to say it was
maybe it was a few weeks ago. I've slept since then, so I apologize.
Who was it?
But he's doing his own thing, so okay.
Is it Dunne?
It might have been. Yeah, actually, it might have been. I think it was.
Because I think he has a beef with Dunne.
Okay, so maybe we'll see more of that. I don't know
exactly where Bobby. Lorcan.
Pete Dunne's guy. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so okay. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what they do with him. But yeah, I'm glad to see Roderick Strong commanding his own team here. So we'll see what they take it. Yeah, so I guess that pretty much does it for NXT for this week.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so good show.
But out of the frame.
Yeah, very good show in my opinion. I think. My only nitpick I think on the whole show would be we need more Cameron Grimes. But again, 1 week you don't want to overdo it.
Cameron Grimes in my life, and I need more top dollar. I don't give a shit.
More top dollar. Yeah.
Have him sell me merchandise. I don't care.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get more Cameron Grimes next week, and there's an argument to not overdo it, which is one thing I do like about AEW. They don't the same guys every single week, so the NXT should do that too. I think. When
the whole thing with Cameron and LA Knight popped off, it was kind of one of those like I'm not really interested in LA Knight, but literally one segment turned me completely around.
Tonight, or are you talking about before he won the title?
Last week with the whole thing with Ted DiBiase.
Gotcha.
And I was just like, all right.
Well, as we talked about how was it the right decision to put the $1 Million Championship on LA Knight? A lot of people, obviously, admittedly, myself included, wanted to see Cameron Grimes win it. However, if you really stop to think about it, LA Knight needs the title more than Cameron Grimes does right now. Cameron Grimes is all the way over.
And you would have never got that moment. Right. With Cameron Grimes that we got with LA Knight and Ted DiBiase. That wouldn't have happened.
And Cameron Grimes is going to get that belt at maybe even the takeover before SummerSlam because Ted DiBiase is going to come back and he's probably going to mentor Cameron and they're going to build. The babyface is going to chase the title. It's always a good story. So it's going to happen. Just be patient. I think they're making the right call. Which
like I said, I wasn't sold on him until that segment. And then I was like, yo, okay.
And hopefully this will do LA Knight a lot of good, and it already has. And I think even when he does lose, it'll make him a new star. And this is how you do it, everybody. This is how you make new stars. We criticize the main roster for not knowing how to do it. NXT is making an attempt to do so, and so far it appears to be paid off with LA Knight. But that'll do it for NXT tonight for June 22nd, 2021. But what do you guys think about this episode? What did you think of Monday Night Raw this week? Please comment down below. Let us know, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get all the notifications about when we put up new content right here on this channel. And until our next video, guys, take care.
Tell everybody bye.
Ready to go, man, lock and load. That's right. I swear to God that I can jump and roll. Yeah, I got a shot and I ain't stopping, no. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable.